Ever wondered how one country can hold so many different cultures, languages, and traditions under one roof? Myanmar is home to over 50 million people and officially recognizes a staggering 135 distinct ethnic groups. That is a level of diversity that is truly hard to find anywhere else on the planet. But how did this happen? How did one nation become such a complex mosaic of people? The answer is a fascinating mix of ancient migrations, powerful kingdoms, rugged mountains, and its unique position on the map of Asia. To understand Myanmar today, we have to look at where it sits. If you pull up a map, you will see that Myanmar is right at the crossroads of South Asia, East Asia, and Southeast Asia. It shares borders with 5 different countries, India and Bangladesh to the west, China to the north and east, and Laos and Thailand to the east and south. For thousands of years, this made the region a natural bridge for people moving across the continent. But while the location brought people in, the geography kept them distinct. Myanmar is defined by massive river systems like the Irrawaddy and rugged mountain ranges that wrap around its borders like a giant horseshoe. These mountains acted as natural walls. When different groups migrated into the region, they often settled in specific valleys or high up in the highlands because travel was so difficult. These communities lived in relative isolation for centuries. This allowed them to develop their own unique dialects, social customs, and traditional clothing. Even if they lived only a few dozen miles away from another group, the history of these migrations happened in waves over thousands of years. Some of the earliest people to establish a presence were the Mon, who settled in the south and brought deep cultural and religious influences. Then came the Tibeto-Burman groups, including the ancestors of the Bamar people, who moved down from the north into the fertile central plains. Later on, Thai groups migrated from what is now southern China, eventually settling in the high eastern plateaus and becoming the Shan people. Each new wave of people added a new layer to the country's identity, like a living history book. When we talk about the 135 ethnic groups, it helps to look at the 8 major national ethnic races that the government uses as a primary classification. The Bamar are the largest group, making up about 2/3 of the population and living mostly in the central dry zone and the delta. Then you have the Shan, who live in the beautiful, sprawling hills of the east and have a culture closely linked to their neighbors in Thailand and Laos. The Karen are primarily found in the mountains and plains along the eastern border. In the west, you have the Rakhine, who live along the coastal strip separated from the rest of the country by a high mountain range. Then there are the Mon in the south, the Kachin in the mountainous far north near the Chinese border, the Chin in the rugged western hills, and the Kaya in the east. Each of these 8 major categories is like an umbrella. For example, the Kachin group actually includes several different linguistic communities like the Jingpo and the Lisu. The Chin group is incredibly diverse, with dozens of different tribes speaking distinct languages. This is where that high number of 135 comes from. It is an official government classification that tries to capture all these subgroups and clans. However, it is important to note that identity is always evolving. Some scholars and even the communities themselves might classify their identities differently than the official list. There are also groups like the Rohingya in the West who have their own long and complex history in the region, even if they are not included in that specific official count. Beyond the numbers and the lists, what this diversity really means is a country that is incredibly rich in culture. On any given day in Myanmar, you might hear a dozen different languages being spoken or see a dozen different styles of traditional dress, from the colorful markets of the Shan state to the ancient traditions of the maritime Mon people. Every group contributes something unique to the national story. This diversity is the direct result of thousands of years of people finding a home in this special corner of Asia, protected by the mountains and nourished by the rivers. Understanding this mix of people is the only way to truly understand Myanmar itself. It is a place where history is not just something you read about in a book, but something you see in the faces and traditions of every community you meet. If you enjoyed this look into the amazing diversity of Myanmar, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more stories about the cultures and history of our world. Thanks for watching.